What is going on, legends, and welcome to the first edition of the WLR podcast. This will be very interesting. I'm your host, Nathan, and I have a bunch of stories that I want to cover today, so I'm just going to jump straight into this. Before I get into it, though, I do want to say that this whole podcast is going to be covering YouTube news, internet news in general, and gaming news especially. And hopefully, by the next episode, I will have one of my friends who will hopefully become a permanent part of the podcast, a permanent co-host. So, with that being said, let's get straight into this. Alright, so the first story we have today is KSI versus Logan Paul, that whole fight thing that's been going on. If you guys don't pay attention, this is a big thing that's been going on. So KSI and Logan Paul are fighting like MMA fighting in a ring. So this independent article goes over all the stuff you need to know about this entire thing. So I'm going to X out of that real quick. So I'm going to read some of this, and then also you can look at it on screen, or if you're just listening to this, you can just listen to what I'm reading. So hold on, let me find. Hundreds of thousands watched live as YouTube stars KSI and Joe Weller took their online arguments to a real-life boxing ring, and millions more have since turned in to catch up on the action. The pair feuded in videos and on social media for months before their fight at the Copper Box, which gamer-turned-rapper KSI won by technical knockout in the third of 6 scheduled rounds. As soon as the bout ended, KSI's attention turned to Logan Paul. In fact, it turned to both of the Paul brothers. He didn't care as long as he could just fight one of them. So this all comes after KSI fought and beat, by technicality, Joe Weller, another YouTube star. So now he's facing Logan Paul in the ring, which is going to be very interesting. So when is it? The fight is on Saturday, August 25th, 2018, which, actually, by the time this goes up, might already be past. It will already be past, because today's, the 22nd, so yeah, it'll already be past. We'll see. I'll have to stick in the how it went type thing there. It's always difficult to predict when a boxing ring walk will be, but the event kicks off at 7 p.m., so expect to see the main event anywhere from 10 p.m. onwards. So, 7 o'clock is the start time. Now, where is it? Manchester Arena, in front of a sold-out crowd of 21,000 fans. So, here you can see, I'm not going to read them all, but there's a list of other people who will be fighting as, the rest of the main event here. You'll be able to find it on youtube.com/KSI versus Logan. A joint channel for the event was created by them, which is a good idea, actually. But it is a pay-per-view, so it's 7, I think, is that euros or pounds? I don't know the signs of currency that is not American, which I looked it up is about $10 US. So you can still get tickets. I love how they put this here. Overpriced tickets for what will certainly be a disappointing and in the end not worthwhile event. So you can bet on the event, which is interesting. But anyway, real quick, pure banter, pure fire and banter. Probably a KSI win on top of that. Okay, so it looks like Independent is looking for a KSI win. Honestly, I don't really care who wins. I'm not going to watch it. I don't have that kind of money to spend on a single boxing thing that I'm not that interested in anyway. But it is interesting to see two YouTube stars again facing off. It's really interesting to me, like, seeing them go from their normal YouTube to fighting. And I mean, they're both obviously very, strong. They're pretty jacked. They've got a lot of muscle, and I'd be interested to see who wins. Honestly, I hope KSI wins. Not because I like KSI particularly, but more because I dislike Logan Paul. I dislike both of the Paul brothers, but at this point, who doesn't? But I do kind of hope that KSI wins this one because I just want to see. I want to see the highlight videos afterwards on YouTube that are free to watch of KSI beating Logan. So, hoping that's on there. But it does say 21,000 fans. So, depending on what kind of like sports you're into watching, that might be a huge crowd. That might be a small crowd. It's, I mean, obviously, it's a decent amount of people to have to have watching this. Plus, the expected probably somewhere around hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people actually watching on the internet through YouTube, through pirated streams, because that's going to happen. But it's going to be interesting to see because there's going to be a lot of people there, and this could be very good for YouTube as in getting more viewers. And obviously it's a money grab between KSI and Logan. They're obviously going to be getting a lot of money no matter who wins, and a lot more attention no matter who wins. So really for them it's a win-win. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So that is that one. So the next story, one that you've probably, if you pay any attention to YouTube news in the past month, you've probably heard a lot about YouTuber burnout. And this is a phenomenon where YouTubers spend so much time on their jobs, so much energy on their jobs, and then they can't take it anymore. They need a break, because normally a lot of these guys don't take breaks. So this specific story from Polygon is about Jacksepticeye, because this is the first time he has ever taken a break. So I won't play the video here. I will actually link all of the articles, including any videos that I show or play. They'll all be in the description, so you guys can go check out these articles, check out the videos, and see the stuff for yourself. But this video published on July 11th, so this was a while ago. Jacksepticeye, Sean McLaughlin, addressed recent struggles and unhappiness with his work lately, as well as burnout that other creators have experienced as parts of why he's taking a few days off from the platform. He's having mental health issues, and his trip to Los Angeles, which he was actually on the H3 podcast from when this was recorded a couple days ago, I believe. That was a very interesting episode, by the way. I love the H3 podcast, which is kind of the inspiration for this, but anyway. So he says, "My mental health has not been in the best place recently, so the reason I've been taking more time off is because I have to. I need to take the time off to get my brain back in order, to just get that energy and that motivation back to record the videos. I could have forced myself through it to try to make videos from when it's done, but it's not worth it." And that's a very good point that he hits on, and actually I believe they talked about this in the H3 podcast when he was on. He talked about he has these, this issue. He's getting tired of doing this. It's getting stressful, and his mental health, obviously, from that statement, is not in the best position that it could be. And as he says there, he could just force himself through it and make himself go, but he doesn't, because he realizes that would just be ridiculous. It would just kill the content. It would make it part of the whole appeal with YouTube is personality, right? So if your personality is normally all bubbly like Sean's is, and then all of a sudden you just snap and you're not happy, and you can tell when your favorite YouTuber is not in the best of places mentally. So you look at that and you're like, wow, they really don't want to be doing this. Something's wrong. And he doesn't want it to get to that point. He wants to take a break, step back, and then later get back to it, which is very, very good. McLaughlin stressed he's not taking more than a few days off, promising his fans he'll continue to upload videos while he's out in Los Angeles. These few days off, however, will mark the first time in 4 to 5 years that he hasn't uploaded a video every single day, according to the video. McLaughlin admitted that trying to upload a video every day led to less than ideal work conditions, including isolating himself for weeks at a time. And that, I can perfectly see, I can understand that right there. I mean, you're so focused on getting a video out a day, and if anybody here, anybody watching, has ever made a YouTube video, And I'm not talking just like screen recording your iPhone and uploading it, or like just recording a simple video off of your phone and uploading it without any other work to it. If anybody has ever created an actual YouTube video where you have to go through the editing and the thumbnailing and the uploading, all of that stuff, including the setup for the recording and everything, it's stressful. Not only is it stressful, it's tiring. And to do that every single day, what he's doing, and he says this in the H3 podcast, what he's doing is not inherently hard. Actually, I don't remember if he said that or if Markiplier said that. One of the two. It's not hard to sit down and record videos of games. What's hard is the editing and trying to diversify content so you get out to the most people and you make yourself happy while you're doing it. And that's the whole thing here. Doing a video a day is very stressful and very difficult, actually. So, continuing on, there's times when I don't leave my house, McClellan said. For the last 2 weeks, I don't think I've left my house at all to go do anything. I don't really like doing that, and it gets to you after a while. Doing the same videos over and over again kind of weighs you down. So there you go, he hits on it there. 2 weeks. He really hasn't left his house for anything. Think about that, like not going, I mean, maybe he might have gone out for like food or something, but imagine not going out at all and just staying in your house, focusing on this job over and over and over for weeks at a time without leaving for any substantial period of time. That's hard. I mean, that's really difficult. And he's doing it to himself, so he's figuring out that he can kind of loosen up on himself. So, other popular creators like Shane Dawson have reached out to McLaughlin following his video to thank him for speaking about the issues that affect the community at large. If anybody watches Philip DeFranco, the Philip DeFranco show, very, very highly recommended. Go check that out. He was talking about it and about the fact that it kind of went mainstream in that mainstream outlets were reporting on this YouTuber burnout. And a lot of people kind of dismiss this YouTuber burnout, like, oh, you have, so much money, you have this fame, you have all that you could ever want. What they don't realize is, yes, they have money, yes, they have fame, but there's always that element of your mental health, your emotions, that people don't take into account. And in this case, it's perfect. You don't see that he doesn't leave his house like that. You don't see that it hurts him to do this kind of stuff, to do it like for a long period of time without stopping. You might not realize that that's happening. You might not realize that his mental state isn't perfect. And so then you end up criticizing him because he has all this fame and stuff, but he is burnt out. So you kind of have to think about the YouTuber's mental capacity. And me being, me, a nobody, it doesn't really, I don't have to worry about it, but I understand the whole thing about where this comes from. Watching your video about taking a break, and I loved it so much, Dawson tweeted. It's so good to see another YouTuber talking about that, because I feel the same way. You're such a sweet, caring guy, and I love this video. And that actually right there hits one of my favorite points about Jacksepticeye, and maybe you guys don't like his content, maybe you don't like him. I personally think he's a great person. He's nice, he's constantly been like a happy person, and with the whole PMA, positive mental attitude thing that he's been doing, he's a pretty good guy, alright? Never met him. I wish I could meet him. I wish I could talk to him. That would be awesome. But anyway, he's a pretty good person. So, continuing reading on here, the more people come forward to talk about the issues like burnout, McMullen explained, the more honest the conversation can become. Having creators reach out and talk about the mental stress that comes with working 7 days a week and isolating themselves to focus on creating videos can help other people going through similar issues feel less alone. So a lot of these YouTubers don't want to say anything about it because it's hard. Like I said, people are going to criticize you because they don't see the mental aspect of things. So the more YouTubers that come out, the more it kind of validates this whole YouTuber burnout thing, and the more people can start to realize that this is a real thing that needs to be taken care Just not being able to talk about these things is a hard thing to go through as well, because you know how honest and transparent I try to be, McLaughlin said. But sometimes there's stuff that you can't talk about, so that's kind of been weighing on me as well. So I just need a little bit of time to find that motivation and energy, and I'll be back stronger than ever. I'm not quitting YouTube. I love YouTube. Some people think when you take breaks, you're quitting, and he wants to make it clear, obviously, with that statement, that he's not quitting. So then it goes on to state more YouTubers talking about, like L Mills, talking about mental health issues and stuff like that. And that's about it for this article, but I wanted to talk about something that happened with JonTron. He's been the subject of controversy in the past, but on the H3 podcast many times, including when JonTron was on, they talked about the fact that breaks actually... a lot of YouTubers fear taking breaks. They think, oh, it'll probably end my career, but JonTron has proved time and time again that taking breaks is fine. Like, if you watch, he could go on a break for a year, come back, post a video, and it gets more views than any of his videos have gotten in the past. His flex tape video, I'm sure most people have seen that by now. It's insane. The amount of people that see those videos, even after he takes a long break, it's not going to end your career to take a break. In the end, I think taking breaks, these big YouTubers taking breaks, will help them. And again, going back to Philip DeFranco, he stated when he was on the H3 podcast, I think it was the second time he was on, because I think he was on more than once, he talked about how this whole thing, he runs a company. So with this company, he has hired different people, and that's helped him to start to get more personal time, because now he has editors that he trusts, he has researchers that he trusts, so he doesn't have to do all of the stuff by himself, which was a ridiculous load of work, because he did a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday show, and he still does them. He just doesn't sit there and edit them and research everything completely. He doesn't do all of that himself anymore, which has helped him get to his personal life, where he has, his wife and 2 kids. So, stepping back, making yourself not the only one that has to work on your stuff, it can help. But like a lot of these guys are doing, taking a break is probably one of the best things that they could do. Like you said, he could force himself through it, but if you've ever tried to force yourself to do something that you don't have the energy to do, you know how ridiculously hard that is, and how unhappy you are after you do this thing. So, yeah, that's that story. Next is a fun one, and real quick before I get to it, I am going to, hold on, just make sure everything is still going correct. Yes. I am just going to go here, and I'm going to get the next stories loaded up a while, because mute tab real quick. Okay. Because there are some more stories after this that I need to cover, and I just want them to be up a while. So go to here, just adding a couple things here really quick, so you can see what the next story is going to be. Come on, Firefox, please work. Okay, there we go. So, the next story. Alex Jones, InfoWars. The infamous Alex Jones. If you haven't heard about him, he is basically a meme at this point. Memes like, we're breaking the conditioning, which maybe I might have these play, I might edit these in later. We're breaking the conditioning, they're turning the frogs gay, stuff like that. Yeah, so a lot of people label him a conspiracy theorist, which is basically what he is. Recently, he was banned from many different forms of social media, from Twitter to Facebook. I think Spotify banned his podcast for a while. Actually, they banned his podcast and all of his content straight up, and now YouTube finally hit him like every other social media did. Alex Jones. It was conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' main channel with 2.4 million subscribers. So, Alex Jones, the founder, owner, and star of conspiracy site InfoWars, has been kicked off YouTube. The Alex Jones channel, InfoWars' biggest YouTube account with 2.4 million subscribers, now simply bears the message that this account has been terminated for violating YouTube's community guidelines. YouTube has a 3 strikes policy that terminates accounts after 3 violations of its community guidelines within 3 months. The removal of Alex Jones' channel follows Apple, Spotify, and Facebook all removing InfoWars content from their platforms. So I don't know really where to stand on this one. I think mostly I think it's mostly a good thing. Well, I don't know, because yes, he's a conspiracy theorist, but they shut him down for basically being a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not sure how I feel about that whole thing. Like, I don't know, he's a conspiracy theorist, but I don't know if you should ban somebody from your stuff for being a conspiracy theorist. Earlier this year, the channel had racked up strikes after posting multiple clips about the February 14th shooting massacre at a Florida high school that falsely alleged that survivors were crisis actors. YouTube has a policy forbidding malicious harassment and bullying. That one I totally understand. That was stupid. Calling them crisis actors, like, I get it. The whole school shooting thing is a big point with gun debate, gun control, all that, but to call them crisis actors when there are people actually grieving over dead kids, I don't know. I find myself a little bit more right side than left, but even that's a little... No, you don't do that. In a statement, YouTube said that all users agree to comply with its terms of service and community guidelines when they sign up to use YouTube. When users violate these policies repeatedly, like our policies against hate speech and harassment or our terms prohibiting circumvention of our enforcement measures, we terminate their accounts. So, that actually, they kind of hit on something that apparently he did, and I don't have the stuff to show it, and I don't remember it. You know, I remember kind of a story about it, but I don't remember actually, like, seeing it. I don't remember what it was about. But apparently, after his one channel was banned, he went back on YouTube, created another channel, which YouTube's community guidelines say, well, their policies are like, no, you don't do that. Once your channel is banned, you don't create another channel to try to get around your ban. InfoWars representatives didn't immediately respond to a message seeking comment. So, I like how they make a point of this. Jones Outlet makes most of its money by selling nutritional supplements on its own websites. So, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to talk about because so many people bring up the whole free speech thing. And yes, free speech applies to the government, right? They can't silence you, but private companies can. And that's the whole thing with this. They're a company. They're not government. They can technically do this by their policies. But the whole thing is, could this be setting a dangerous precedent? Because you could have somebody that's doing, then this isn't coming from me, this is coming from, on the outside looking in, because I know how people are. People will take this political. People will say, oh, well, he was right-wing, and they would let a channel of the same kind of content but left-wing continue. And that's the whole debate with this is, well, if it were to be somebody on the other side of the political spectrum, would they have taken the same action, or would they have dialed it back a little bit? And it's a very good question, honestly. So it's interesting. Um, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of hard. Do you go on the side of free speech? Well, they shouldn't do this, or do you say, well, he was just a crazy conspiracy theorist anyway? He wasn't really adding anything to any conversations. I don't know. All I know is that Alex Jones is a huge meme and is freaking. It's just great. We're breaking the conditioning. Some of my favorite memes. All right. And now on to the next story. This one is a gaming story. EA's Battlefield 5. Analyst predicts EA's Battlefield 5 will be a serious disappointment, says pre-orders lag Call of Duty by more than 85%. And this one I found out from a video from Boogie2988. My man Boogie did a video talking about this and how some people believe that social justice is the whole reason behind this. So I'm going to read through some of this and then I'll give my opinions on what's going on. Cohen believes EA's Battlefield 5 game may put the company's financial guidance at risk. The firm's analyst said pre-orders for Battlefield 5 are tracking more than 85% behind Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is substantially worse than previous instances. Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 titles lagged Call of Duty by about 20% and 40%, and Battlefield 1 actually tracked ahead of Call of Duty at this point before launch. EA's most important non-sports game for this holiday season is struggling, according to Cohen. EA's Battlefield 5 currently appears to potentially be headed for serious disappointment, analyst Doug Kreutz said in a note on Monday. It is lagging far behind Call of Duty, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Assassin's Creed, he added, and by slightly more than it was 2 weeks ago in the case of the first two. If we had to pick one game to be a casualty of the crowded October window, this would clearly be it. EA shares declined 0.2% on Monday after the report. So, obviously Battlefield 5's pre-orders aren't up to snuff compared to what they should be, according to EA, what they've seen in the past, and according to the games that are also being put out for pre-order now, which is interesting. Honestly, I don't play the newest gen console I have at the moment is a PlayStation 3. Hopefully I'll be getting like an Xbox One later this year, but I don't do console games very much, so I'm not a big part of this, but I do have friends that are, PS4, Xbox One, like, main players, and I know they pre-order stuff. So I never really got into new gen stuff. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 5 on my PS3, but I'm playing old games like Black Ops 2 and stuff, so this doesn't really connect to me quite as much, but it's interesting to see. So I'll continue reading now. Kreutz reaffirmed his $114 price target for EA shares, representing 11% downside to Friday's close. Battlefield 5 is slated to be released on October 19th, between the launch dates of October 12th for Activision's Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and October 26th for Take-Two's Red Dead Redemption 2. And then it goes on to talk about it lagging behind. This is very far off the tracking levels of previous Battlefield titles in 2011, 2013, and 2016. We worry that Battlefield could be headed for a similar fate as 2016's Titanfall 2, which got squeezed out by its launch date directly between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So the analyst said the 13 million to 14 million unit sales, which he estimates is factored into EA's guidance for the title, is not looking achievable. And really quick, I'm going to play a little bit, if I can find it, about the whole Red Dead Redemption thing in Boogie2988's video. I'm going to see if I can find a section where he talks about it. I'm going to play a little bit of it for you guys. Is it playing right? I don't know. Audio. Why is this not picking up correctly? For whatever reason, it's not playing audio. Hold on. Yeah, it's coming out of the headphones, and that's definitely... Oh, I have the tab muted, that's why. I'll mute tab.
the entire gaming industry is just kind of upset.
Hold on.
And so if there's an alternative game to play to Battlefield, a lot of casual players are being playable in the multiplayer for Battlefield 5. Now, the controversy here is the fact that women were not very commonly seen on the battlefield of World War II. Now, they certainly were, if you know your history at all, and there's been a lot of examples pointed out. I'm not going to bring them up here in this video.
So, with this, people... the creator of Battlefield 5, I don't know if it was Cohen or what, said that female playable characters are here to stay, and also later in the video it hits on some different historical inaccuracies, which if you know Battlefield, a lot of people play Battlefield because of historical accuracy, and with this whole females being a main playable character in a World War II game, and then later something that comes up, it makes it unrealistic and for some people unplayable. So
if you want to search, there's plenty of women who, and I find that to be fairly antagonistic, and
so here he says, let me be clear about one thing. Player choice and female playable characters are here to stay.
Females are playable in the multiplayer.
I'm going to see if I can find, there's a part where right there, that picture there with the prosthetic arm. I'm going to go back a little bit and play. If YouTube wants to work.
Politicizing your game can put people off of purchasing your game. Making this a political statement rather than just a video game turns a lot of people off, and that's just the facts of it. And then, of course, there's this trailer, and I chose this particular screenshot because I think it personifies the problem. No, not because the character is female, but having to do more with, like, the prosthetic and the way that she uses the prosthetic.
So apparently, I haven't seen the trailer, but apparently, according to this, according to other people, she uses the prosthetic arm in a way that is not very realistic. So that's part of the problem here. So this is why people are saying social justice killed the game. People don't want to buy it because of historical inaccuracies, because everybody wants women characters to be playable. And I honestly... like I said, this one doesn't really concern me all that much. I don't really care about it all that much. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not going to play the game no matter what. But for a lot of people, historical inaccuracy will kill this game for them. So that's what this whole video hits on.
Aesthetic in this trailer, it just comes across as it's not very good. And if you take a look at this reveal trailer, you'll see it's one of the most disliked videos.
So one of the most disliked videos right there. If I remember right, Infinite Warfare's... Actually, you know what? I'm going to look it up real quick. Hold on. I'm going to look it up real quick, because I want to see... COD IW trailer. And we're going to mute this tab so you don't see it, or you don't hear it. I think this was it. Yes. So this right here, 591,000 likes, 3.7 million dislikes. So it's not quite as bad as the COD IW one, but it's pretty bad. So I'll link Boogie's video down in the description. You can go watch that full thing there. It's an 11-minute video on this whole story, and about the fact that some people seem to think social justice has killed the game. And honestly, like I said, since it doesn't concern me, I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. But if I were playing the game for historical accuracy, then I definitely wouldn't want to play it. If I wasn't caring about historical inaccuracies, then I don't know. I really wouldn't care, and I'd just play the game. And honestly, that's normally my attitude with stuff. Is just I don't care. I'm just playing the game. So that's where I land on that one. So I like this though. 13 to 14 million unit sales. Is not looking achievable, so they don't think they're going to sell what they want and kind of would, need to sell. And that's kind of interesting to me. They don't think they're going to hit that threshold, which I don't know. I don't pay much attention to how many units of games are sold, but that's interesting to me. And so I'm sure you guys saw when I switched there, the next story is the IGN plagiarism issue. So this article from Kotaku goes over this this plagiarism thing. So IGN pulls ex-editor's posts after dozens more plagiarism accusations surface. This is one of the latest articles about the whole thing. So for anybody that doesn't know, here's basically the thing. The gaming site IGN is working to remove all of the posts written by former editor Philip Musin, I don't know how to pronounce that, who was fired last week for plagiarism after internet sleuths found that dozens of his articles and videos copied or rephrased from other websites without attribution. So I don't think it links to the actual video here, but there was one main video that this guy, this guy copied. Like, hold on, let me see. We're gonna go back onto YouTube. We're gonna venture back to YouTube real quick. So I think it's called like IGN copied my Dead Cells review. There we go. So again, I'm gonna play part of the video, but I will link the full video in the description so you guys can go watch it. I'm going to
slightly weird issue today. I put out my review about this.
So I'm just going to skip through and find a part. There, over on the right here, is Boomstick Gaming, this guy, who I should probably subscribe to and should probably start watching, but I don't really watch YouTube on this account, that is. So this is his video here, and this is IGN's Dead Cells review, where he kind of copies it.
Let's proceed. In Dead Cells, you'll need to kill your way through a labyrinth of levels, all punctuated by boss encounters that starts off quite linear, but the more you play, the more routes and game mechanics will open up to you.
In Dead Cells, you fight your way through an ever-changing labyrinth of levels with branching paths.
You might not be able to make it to the final boss on your current run, but if you can manage to salvage some blueprints for some new gear, or better yet, an ability-altering rune, it makes it all worth your while, even if you can see your death just around the corner. This is the type of roguelite that, yeah, sure, you could beat the boss on your...
So what this is showing is on the right here, this is his video, and then the IGN review is extremely similar in the word choice and placement in sentences, and it's pretty bad.
First attempt, but you're probably not going to, and you're not supposed to. Let's stop there. Let's see what Philip has to say next.
You're almost guaranteed not to make it all the way through on every run, but as your efforts lead you to blueprints that unlock new gear, it makes it all worth your while.
Okay.
So he continues again. Like I said, I will link the video down in the description, so you guys can see that. So yeah, it's eerily similar, like really scarily similar to what Boomstick Gaming's video was. So he was accused of plagiarism for that, and then they found way more. So IGN statement: we've seen enough now, both from the thread and our own searches, that we're taking down pretty much everything he did, IGN Reviews editor Dan Stapleton wrote on Twitter last night, referring to a thread on the gaming forum Reset Era cataloging the allegations. For days, people had pointed out more similarities between this guy's work and various other articles and message board posts. The plan, IGN editors said, is to scrutinize all the work he has published since the site hired him last October and figure out what can be restored. IGN's editors also said they hope to re-review the games he reviewed, including ports of Doom and Skyrim on Nintendo Switch, both of which have been replaced by the same message. This article has been removed due to concerns over similarities to work by other authors. The author of this article is no longer employed by IGN. So they fired Philip over this whole thing. They found multiple instances of him plagiarizing, and if anybody here has gone through like freshman year of high school, you get lectured all the time on how you can't plagiarize, how plagiarism is not acceptable, how it can be illegal and can get you fired, expelled, and stuff like that. I know it was pounded into my head in my English class my freshman year. It was pounded into my head that if I were to go to college and they were to find out that I was plagiarizing, I'd be kicked out. And so they pound this stuff into your head. How you think this is okay, I don't understand. I get it. Sometimes writing reviews and even just doing videos like this can be hard, but you're hired. You're getting paid to do this kind of stuff. And what are you doing? You're stealing, literally just, you're too lazy to come up with your own sentences, your own reviews, so you just use something somebody else said. And some people think, yes, yes, there's, I forget what it's called, parallel thinking, that's what it is. Yes, there's a thing called parallel thinking, where more than one person can think the same kind of thoughts at the same time. Obviously, you know, but when you look at the video like the one that I played, it's very obvious that he plagiarized it. It's very obvious that it's very obvious that it wasn't his own stuff, and that he was just too lazy to come up with it. Also, Life is Strange 2 revealed trailer. I never played the first one, but I watched people play the first one. It's pretty lit. Anyway, so this move comes a week after YouTuber accused him of plagiarizing a review of the game Dead Cells, which led IGN to fire him last Tuesday. That's what I talked about in the video that I showed. That was followed by our coverage at Kotaku, which noted an additional case of apparent plagiarism, I can't, plagiarism involving a review of a FIFA game. On Friday night, he posted a video response on YouTube saying that any Dead Cells plagiarism had been not at all intentional, and suggesting that he had not done this sort of thing before. You can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything, he said in the video, setting off a chain of subsequent discoveries and accusations of dozens more instances of apparent plagiarism. He has since removed the video from his YouTube channel. Right there. You did the worst thing you could possibly do for yourself and for your career. You basically looked at the internet and said, try me. You won't find anything. Which, if anybody knows the internet, that's not what you do, because the internet will find everything. They know everything. There are people, it's scary, but there are people on the internet that probably know more about you than you do. So that was not a very smart thing for him to do. And as they said, it led to more people figuring out more plagiarism. So the lengthy list of allegations against him now includes a Bayonetta 2 review that drew from Polygon, a video that took word for word from a NeoGAF post, and a number of videos in which he read excerpts from Wikipedia about topics like Super Mario Odyssey and Shantae Half Genie Hero as if he had written them. The list even includes an Octopath Traveler article that was copied from one of his own IGN colleagues' reviews, much to that writer's dismay. Tipsters have pointed me to dozens of instances in which he took directly from other sources, some of which were rounded up here. This is the most hilarious part here. Even his LinkedIn resume is copied from a job template website. I'm going to zoom in really quick so you can like read this. So I believe this is his LinkedIn, left Phillips LinkedIn, and right a template from the Society for Human Research Management. So I'm going to read these, right? From Phillips, Marketing Director, Proco.com, 2015-16, 1 year, Greater San Diego area. Develops and implements strategic marketing plans and sales plans and forecasts to achieve corporate objectives for products and services. Going over to the template, essential functions. Reasonable accommodations may be made to enable individuals with disabilities to perform these essential functions. Okay. Number 1. Develops and implements strategic marketing plans and sales plans and forecasts to achieve corporate objectives for products and services. Number 2. For Phillips, develops and manages sales, marketing, operating budgets. Number 2 for the template, develops and manages sales and marketing, operating budgets. I could keep going, but there's 8 points here, and all of them are word for word copied, as if he just highlight, copied and pasted it, and then removed the numbers and separated them into little sentences. So yeah, it's very obvious that is not his own doing. I think it just screwed up. No, it didn't. Okay, because ads are on the side. So yeah, he has not yet responded to several requests for an interview. Several IGN editors have made public statements about the incident. Here is a quote here. Deeply disappointed and upset that it's looking more and more likely that we unwittingly hosted work that was directly lifted from, or at best heavily derived from, others, wrote IGN editorial manager Justin Davis on Twitter. I assure you we are taking very active steps to remove it all and make it right. I feel betrayed. Another quote, tonight IGN took down more content over concerns if some of the work by Philip may have been copied, wrote video boss Fran Mirabella. After 18 years at IGN as a reviewer, a producer, it's despicable. Authors and supporters affected, I'm sorry. Nobody at IGN stands for this. This is a personal statement of my own. So, it's obvious that some people might say IGN's just trying to defend their brand, but honestly, I think that they actually don't want, that they're actually apologizing for this. The fact that Philip decided that he was going to do this is just hilarious. And the fact that he got caught in multiple instances, including his LinkedIn resume, it's just hilarious to me. The fact that he was caught and now is fired and probably won't be working in journalism. So, yeah. He's stupid. Apparently it was not at all intentional, which obviously is some bullshit. If you even remotely believe that it was not at all intentional, I'm sorry, you should probably rethink that completely. But yeah, I kind of feel bad for these IGN producers and stuff, because now they have to deal with the hellstorm that comes in after one of their guys decided to plagiarize, and I don't know what their process is in producing these things and checking them, but they should probably do a better job at checking for plagiarism and stuff like that, because, well, he was caught in multiple instances, which, it's just stupid. So, hold on, I'm gonna get the next story up here really quick. Hello, if Firefox would want to work with me here, and then I will get the next one after that. I think I have 2 more that I might be doing. Depends. I'll just leave that one there for now. So, the next story.
This
No, I don't want to see that video. No, go away. Okay, so Netflix tests house ads that it claims are not commercials. Now, I haven't been affected by this, and I've been using Netflix a lot lately. I've been rewatching The Office for the 6th time, which is probably not something that's, honestly, it's cool to admit now because so many people have done it. But anyway, Netflix is testing ads that showcase other titles in its video library. The online video streaming giant said Monday in an email to Fortune that the ads aren't paid commercials and are among the hundreds of tests every year so we can better understand what helps members more easily find something great to watch. So, apparently in between episodes of shows or in between you watching movies, there were little previews to Netflix's own stuff that were showing up. And one, I don't know if it's in here, I believe there was a tweet that was an unskippable 30-second non-ad popped up. Honestly, this kind of thing irritates me, because I'm already paying for Netflix per month, right? I'm already paying for this service, and part of that paying for this service comes with not getting commercials, not getting advertisements, which is why it's so amazing to watch stuff on it, because you don't have to worry about commercials. You can just go episode to episode, movie to movie, and you don't have to worry about the stupid commercials in between. But anyway, news of Netflix's testing of in-house ads was first reported last week by the trade publication Cord Cutters News, which noticed that several United Kingdom Netflix subscribers were commenting on Reddit about seeing ads for shows like Better Call Saul. So people were seeing these ads and were like, I don't like it. So Netflix said that the ads are extensions of a preview feature it debuted in 2016. At the time, the company said they were not teasers or traditional trailers and instead were a collage of clips from a particular show that highlight the story, the characters, and tone of a title. So they're basically saying that they're not ads, even though they're kind of ads because, yeah. So anyway, they're denying the fact that they're ads, and hopefully this is not like a YouTube. This is a test in that. What I mean by that is YouTube tests. Whenever YouTube tests a feature, it normally becomes a thing. I can't say normally. It a lot of times becomes a thing. So, hoping that's not what this is going to be. In this particular case, we are testing whether surfacing recommendations between episodes helps members discover stories they will enjoy faster. A Netflix spokesperson told Fortune, "It is important to note that a member is able to skip a video preview at any time if they are not interested." Which goes against the tweet, I believe, that I saw. I can't confirm it, so I can't say anything about it, but apparently you couldn't skip it, and it's just whatever. Additionally, Netflix said on Monday that it has removed the ability for people to post their own reviews of shows and movies on Netflix because of declining use, which I didn't even, honestly, until reading that, I had no idea that was a thing. But anyway, back to the main story. Yeah, it kind of irritates me. Like, if you're doing ads when... And it's not like they have at least as far as I know, it's not like they have an obligation to be completely ad-free. They could, if they wanted to, do the whole, here you pay for this, but if you pay a higher amount, you get ad-free. They could do that whole thing. But honestly, I don't know if I see them going that route because I feel like it would kill their membership a little bit. Because, like, I'll pay, I don't even know what it is anymore, a certain amount a month for Netflix, but I'm not paying any higher for ad-free, and I want the ad-free, but it's just not worth it at that point. And if the ads turn into SoundCloud-like ads, where it's like every other song, so like every other thing you watch, you're getting unskippable ads, it's insane. Also, SoundCloud irritates me in that way. Like, I used to use SoundCloud before it was too big on ads. It was great. But then they restricted some songs to previews unless you paid for SoundCloud Premium, and I'm like, no, not paying for that. So that's about it for this story. There are two other stories that I kind of wanted to cover. I'm gonna do this one here. There's some gaming news. I don't know if I'm gonna end up doing the other one. Depends on how long this takes. Ninja explains his choice not to stream with female gamers. Quote, "The only way to avoid the rumors is to not play with them at all." So, I'm going to read this, and then, as I've done before, and then tell you guys what I think. So, "I don't play with female gamers," says Tyler Ninja Blevins, Twitch's biggest streamer and one of the faces of the Fortnite fandom. This edict may be surprising to hear, especially as emphatically as Blevins said it when we spoke at a recent Samsung event. Though Blevins isn't shy about being married, and his more than 10 million subscribers include people of every gender identity, the internet's love of gossip has convinced the Twitch star not to invite women to participate in his Fortnite Battle Royale live streams. With fame comes scrutiny of everything you say or do, he suggested, and that can sometimes lead to questions about who you're sleeping or flirting with on the sly. So his defense in this whole thing is, I don't play with female Twitch streamers. I don't stream with them because I'm afraid that if I look at them the wrong way, then people are going to be like, oh, he's dating this, and then it's going to kill his wife's sanity. It's like if you're in school and you're dating a girl, right? And somebody starts a rumor because you looked at another girl. You simply looked at her and had a conversation. Somebody starts a rumor that you two are secretly together. That could kill the sanity and kill your relationship. I think that's kind of where he's going with this. If I have one conversation with one female streamer where we're playing with one another, and even if there's a hint of flirting, that is going to be taken and going to be put on every single video and be clickbait forever, Blevins told Polygon. There's some truth to the idea that flirting can lead to YouTube clickbait and invasive questions. Blevins has asked some himself when playing with other well-known male streamers. So I'm not going to play that clip, but apparently, there's a little bit in there of him doing that. So I see where he's coming from, but I don't necessarily think it should keep him from streaming with female streamers. I don't know. It seems to have not killed his career saying this, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But there's always the argument of, well, if you're a girl, now you're not getting the same opportunities as a guy would be, because guys can stream with Ninja, but girls cannot because he doesn't want that publicity. And this is also going off of this article, and again, Philip DeFranco when he talked about it. So it's kind of like, okay, I don't know. I don't know where to really stand on that. Not being connected to other women online, that was something I made 100% sure, he said. It was his decision alone to keep his streaming partners men only. That was not even her. She had nothing to do with it. That was me being, I love our relationship, and no, I'm not even going to put you through that. So there he stresses that it was not her decision, because then people would be like, oh, well, she's kind of controlling, you should not have her. But he's saying, this was not her. This was me. This is a decision for me that I decided that I was going to make. Which, I mean, I get that. So it's interesting. Like I said, I don't completely agree with him, but honestly, I don't see where it's not going to hurt him, his career. But I can see where the criticism comes from of what he's doing, and I can also see what he's doing and why. So I can kind of see both sides, and it's kind of like that middle ground of, well, I don't want to put my wife through that, but also, like, now that I'm doing this, I'm possibly giving people less, I don't know. I don't know how to put it. I'm just going to go on to reading a quote here. There hasn't been a single female gamer or streamer or on Twitch or anything like that who's been upset about that, he said, a possible pushback. I honestly think that it's just kind of like a respect thing. So, he didn't... The only way to avoid gossip is to not play with them at all. And then it says, update, he has since responded to and stood by his comments. I'm not going to go into that. But he says he really hasn't heard too much from female gamers or streamers about him not playing or not streaming with them, and so he doesn't see this too much of a big deal. And like I said, it's not hurting his career. So should he really care? Should he really care? Maybe. Does he really care? Not too much. The pushback is not enough for him to really say anything or do anything different. It's an interesting story. So now comes one that is only on here because it has to do with my state, the great state of Pennsylvania. Sorry, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All right. More than 300 accused priests listed in Pennsylvania report on Catholic Church sex abuse. If you haven't heard about this, you're probably living under a rock. Priests have, if there was a grand jury report about priests and sexual abuse, and it's disgusting, honestly. More than 300 Catholic priests across Pennsylvania sexually abused children over 7 decades, protected by a hierarchy of church leaders who covered it up, according to a sweeping grand jury report released Tuesday. Oh my god. The investigation, one of the broadest inquiries into church sex abuse in U.S. history, identified 1,000 children who were victims, but reported that there probably are thousands more. Priests were raping little boys and girls, and the men of God who were responsible for them not only did nothing, they hid it all, for decades, the grand jury wrote in its report. I'm just looking through here real quick, skimming, so I can talk about this. A 7-year-old boy in Erie was sexually abused by a priest who then told him he should go to confession and confess his sins to that same priest. Another boy was repeatedly raped from ages 13 to 15 by a priest who bore down so hard on the boy's back that it caused severe spine injuries. He became addicted to painkillers and later died of an overdose. One victim in Pittsburgh was forced to pose naked as Christ on the cross while priests photographed him with a Polaroid camera. Priests gave the boy and others gold cross necklaces to mark them as being groomed for abuse. The report makes it clear that few criminal cases may result from the massive investigation. And this is probably the most horrifying and disgusting part of this entire thing. As a consequence of the cover-up, almost every instance of abuse we found is too old to be prosecuted, the report said, because of Pennsylvania's statute of limitations. In Pennsylvania, victims of child sex abuse have until they are 30 to file civil suits and until they are 50 to file criminal charges. The oldest victim who spoke to the grand jury was 83. So, not only over 7 decades were thousands of kids sexually abused, which, first of all, I have a very soft spot for kids. You don't mess with kids. I have a very soft spot for them. I don't know. I can't imagine doing anything to hurt a little kid, let alone something as terrible as that. But then the fact that they covered it up to the point where now criminal charges can't be pressed, it's insane. It's ridiculous. I can't. I don't get it. I don't get how you could do this. And then it goes on to talk about how there are different people who are calling for statute of limitations to be taken away. Real quick here, I'm going to load up an article with the Pope's statement about it. Hold on, I'm going to make sure Firefox actually works. So, Pope Francis actually spoke about it, an official statement. Nearly a week after Pennsylvania grand jury released its roughly 900-page report on sex abuse by clergy, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church has penned a letter condemning the alleged misconduct and pledging repentance. The heart-wrenching pain of these victims, which cries out to heaven, was long ignored, kept quiet, or silenced, but their outcry was more powerful than all the measures meant to silence it or sought to even to resolve it by decisions that increased its gravity by falling into complicity. Pope Francis wrote in the letter Monday, which is addressed to the people of God. The Lord heard that cry and once again showed us on which side he stands. Most of the victims were boys, but there were girls too. Some were teens, many were prepubescent. Some were manipulated with alcohol or pornography. Some were made to masturbate their assailants or were groped by them. Some were raped orally, some vaginally, some anally, the report asserted in no uncertain terms. But it added all of them were brushed aside in every part of the state by church leaders who preferred to protect the abusers and their institution above all. So it's just it's ridiculous. The whole, and this is really concerning to me, although I am not Catholic. This is when you hear stuff like this, this big, this bad in your home state, it's like, oh my God, like you don't think that this stuff happens close to home, and here it is. One of the areas that was affected by this was 20-30 minutes away from me. It's insane. And to think of how long this went on and everything, it's just ridiculous. I can't stand this whole thing. It's insane. So my opinion on that, it's completely disgusting that this ever happened, and I hope the state tries to find a way, this grand jury tries to find a way to fix this as best as possible. You can't do very much. I'm honestly going to say that statute of limitations should probably be removed. For cases like this, it should be removed, especially in terms of cases like this, where this has gone on for so long, and you can't even prosecute those who are responsible because the victims are too old. Like, that's just insane to me. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting, and I can't stand it, honestly. I don't have any more to say about that. So, I think with that, I think it's time to end the podcast. So, thank you, everybody who watched this podcast. I don't know when I'm going to be doing the next one. I think I'm going to be doing the last Saturday of every month. Hopefully by the next episode of this podcast, I'll have my friend on as a permanent co-host. We're still trying to get stuff set up. But if you have any stories to recommend, go ahead and put them in the comments below, and I will take suggestions for stories. I will continue looking at these things, and I'll continue amassing stories for the next episode of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll get some more of this content out to you guys as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much for watching this podcast, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.